Sometimes you want to be around a lot of people, but sometimes less of a crowd is more. We're going to talk about the pleasure of small bars.
When I say State College, you probably think football, but there's a lot more to do up there. A lot of it involves drinking.
He's Lou Bryson, I'm Glen Macnow. We're at the Sterling Pig Brewery and Media for an all-new episode of What's Brewing.
What's Brewing is brought to you in part by Monco Maker's Passport. Download your free digital pass and sip your way through Montgomery County. By the Conshohocken Brewing Company, featuring 4 locations and available at beer retailers throughout the tri-state area. By Visit Bucks County. Travel the Bucks County Ale Trail. Get your passport at visitbuckscounty.com. And by support from the Pennsylvania Malt and Brewed Beverage Industry Promotion Board and grant funding from the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board.
Hey, welcome to an all-new episode, all-new season of What's Brewing. I'm Glen Macnow. As we know, Joe Sixpack's moved to France on us. Joe's going to be checking in later in the show. We're going to have revolving guest host Lou Bryson. Our friend Whiskey and Beer Authority from Upstate joins us. Lou, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
I am starting to, by the way, we are at the great Sterling Pig Brewery in Media. I am starting my show with a Love Hurts Hazy IPA. Our viewers know I'm a big fan of hazies. This is a 7.3%. This is one of their great ones with, let me just see, Centennial and Amarillo hops, malted oats. What do you got there?
I have my favorite. This is the Schote Pilsner. It's a multi-award winner. It's 5.0%. It is crisp and delicious.
Nice, nicely done. All right, so speaking of you being from up at State College, that's kind of our theme to start the show, which is beers that maybe our viewers don't always get to see from up that way. We're going to do a little trade. What did you bring me? Show me the one.
Well, I brought you 4 beers. I've got the Leicester Double Bock.
Let's pour some of that.
Rusty Rail.
Tell me about this one.
Actually, this is a new one to me. Let's see, what is it? It's 9.0 by volume. We'll do small pours.
We're starting the day by getting snockered. Terrific. All right. Oh, yeah, you can see that. Tell me a little bit about this brewery.
It is a huge brewery. It's in Mifflinburg, Pennsylvania, which is over the mountain from me.
It's got a kick to it.
It is one of the biggest brew pubs in Pennsylvania. I can't remember the square footage. Huge first floor, huge second floor, big outdoors. They put a lot of people through there.
I like this. It's got a major kick to it. A little bit's going to go a long way, but that's okay.
Wow, yeah.
So I brought you, as in you brought me, but I'm giving back to you because that's the way it works. This is the New Trail Icicle Hazy IPA. As I said, I'm a big fan of hazies from up Williamsport. Next time you're at the Little League World Series. It is with oats, wheat, and spelt. I always love saying that. Drippingly hopped with Simcoe, Amarillo, and Centennial.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of citrus.
Yeah, it's coming right out of the glass, isn't it?
Kind of earthy. I'm not always great on the adjectives, but kind of earthy there.
I'm definitely getting that green thing. I mean,
Yeah.
It tastes very, very, I don't want to say fresh.
Actually, I like this a
beer,
lot.
but
We've had their beers before.
this is right in their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
This is really what they do well.
This is really nice. So show me the others that you brought.
Sure. A fairly familiar one, the Trogs Double Blizzard.
Love Trogs.
And this one, gorgeous. Zeno's, which is Zeno's Pub in State College. Been doing craft beer in State College for over 30 years. And Otto's Pub brewed this beer for him, a rye
I
IPA.
like that.
Yeah.
There's got to be a small release. All right. So as you said, you're originally from Bucks County, but you moved up there, right? Last year or two?
Just about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so it's given you the opportunity to explore new places and so on. Give me a couple of the essentials up that way.
Well, an easy one is there's a group of bars right in the middle of State College called the Hotel State College Group. And the reason it's easy is because their new beverage manager is Chris Peters, who used to be at Teresa's Cafe in Wayne.
Yeah. Oh, love Teresa. We've talked about Teresa's before.
Fantastic program.
Yeah.
And he's, I mean, he's bringing their beverage up, and it's bringing the whole city up, which is great. I also like to get out of State College. I mean, I live outside of State College in a little town called Millheim. My hometown brew pub, Elk Creek Cafe, all I'll say is that we moved there because of it.
Wow.
I think that's
You traveled, what, 250 miles
to live beside a brew pub.
For a brew pub. That's got to be a pretty good place.
Worked out pretty well. One more little place called the Hublersburg Inn. I mean, out in the country, Hublersburg is even smaller than Millheim, and yet they have this fantastic bar program. Really one of the best curated small tap lists I've seen.
Let's talk a little bit about you for people who don't know you. You as we said, you lived here. You were managing editor of Whiskey Advocate for 20 years, author of Tasting Whiskey, Whiskey Masterclass. You now have a podcast. Tell us about the podcast.
I just started it. I actually edited the 6th episode yesterday. It's called Seen Through a Glass. It's about eating and drinking, but mostly drinking in central Pennsylvania. I started because a local brew pub guy was like, look, why doesn't anybody ever write about beer in central Pennsylvania? I'm like, I could do that.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's a good market up there.
Yeah.
Good. That's terrific. All right, one other thing that we are adding this year, and we really hope that our viewers follow through on this as we think they will. We're asking you to send us a home video of yourself centered on beer, whether it's you finding a cool place to drink, or a drinking game, or sharing a beer with a non-beer lover. Keep it short, 30 seconds or under. You can send it to our Twitter feed at What's Brewing PA, or you can send it to me at Real Glen Macnow, or my Facebook page, or my Instagram page, or whatever. You know how to find us, and send it to us. And to kind of get you in the mood, we're going to show you this one. It's a quickie. Lou, this was, and I don't even know where it happened.
I have no idea where.
But as you can see, there's a little bit of a bar brawl, and it's getting out of hand. And what's the one guy doing?
He's trying to save his beer.
Yes.
But he's scared to get too next to the brawl. But he's got to have that beer.
Yes. People are hitting each other with chairs.
I'm pretty sure that one guy's naked.
He may be. It's cable TV. We're all right. And nonetheless, he's getting out of there really. You do not have to start a brawl for this, but send us your favorite beer-centered video. Best one each week gets a gift card to Conshohocken Brewing Company. So you send us something, we'll let you drink and have a good time. All right, coming up, we're going to talk about the beauty of small bars. Sometimes you want a place that's cozy, and we're going to give you some of the best. He's Lou Bryson. I'm Glen Macnow. We're at the Sterling Pig Brewing Company, enjoying this hazy IPA.
And the Schott Pilsner.
And this is What's Brewing.
So, what do you want to do today?
Today, I want to run. I want to skate.
Thank you.
I want to see a show. I want to play. I want to eat. Like a lot. I want to sleep in a hotel. Can we do all that?
We can do all that and more.
Hey, welcome back to What's Brewing. He is Lou Bryson, guest host today. I'm Glen Macnow. We're at the Sterling Pig Brewery in Media. You smell their...
I do. It's
right?
starting to cook.
Yeah, they got the barbecue going, man. We're going to try some of that later, which is not a bad thing. Right now, we're sampling porters. I don't have the Geppetto's Revenge. I have the Baltimore Pike Porter. Comes in at a lusty 6.6. But you, my friend...
Oh, I decided to hit the throttle. I'm drinking the Geppetto's Revenge, which comes in at 11.5. This is a barrel-aged Imperial Stout. It's a collaboration with 2SP Brewing, Pinocchio's Bottle Shop, and Bevan's, a local shop, candy shop,
store,
which provided chocolate for the beer. So
wow, pretty nice.
I'm going to get stuck
and by
into
the way,
that.
this is great. I love porter this time
Look at
of
the
year.
head on that. That's gorgeous.
It's beautiful. That is delicious. Absolutely delicious. All right. We kind of teased it in the break. A friend of mine recently was down at Key West, and we're going to show you a picture of what bills itself as the world's smallest bar, which I've actually been there, and it's kind of neat, but it's a little bit touristy. And it just got me thinking about what are great small bars and what makes a great small bar. So I will ask you again. Sometimes you want to be in a crowd, but maybe sometimes not. You a fan of the small bar?
I am a fan of the small bar. I like going to a small bar because things are simple. There's a bar I go to in Germany when I'm over in Dusseldorf, the Kreuzherrenegg.
La-di-da.
One tap, about 20 bottles of spirits, maybe 4 bottles of other beers, and about 10,000 jazz LPs.
Oh, wow.
And room for about 12 people.
That's pretty good.
I got to talking to a barge captain there one night. Who knew?
So we asked you, our viewers, to give us kind of what is your favorite small bar and what makes one. I'm going to read some and get your thoughts on it. Devin Demore says, here's the criteria for a small bar. Has to be cash only. Can't pay with a credit card at a great small bar. Also, it helps if there's a jar of some kind of pickled meats.
Pickled meats, pickled eggs. Yeah. Anything in a jar.
Made by the guy's grandmother. Okay. Dan Rubin said, I love the bar at Earth Bread and Brewery in Mount Airy. Apparently you know this place. Attentive bartender, strong playlist, on-site brewery of adventurous beer, solid flatbeds. The Noah's Ark of patrons was open to conversation and respectful to those who weren't, and no TV.
And no TV.
You like that?
A small bar? Yeah. Yeah, I think it's too distracting.
A lot of our people said Jake's in Westchester, and I get that. It's a great college bar. I don't know if you've ever been there.
I have not.
It's up in Westchester, so it's by nature one. Great shuffleboard, which takes up half the bar, by the way. And Lexi Estrada said, used to be the home of the 50-cent draft. They're full $1 today, but if you wear a Jake's Bar t-shirt, you'll always find a friend. I like that.
Yeah.
Community. Let's Go Flyers on Twitter said, years back in the Fairview section of Camden, there was a tiny neighborhood bar where it was not uncommon to have patrons come in saying, set up a round for the house. To me, if you can buy beer for the house.
Big spender.
Yeah, there you go. So here's my question for you, because it's been tougher for bars these days, in part because breweries have their own bars, their own brew pubs.
Yeah.
Can the small bars survive?
It's harder and harder.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it. It's got to be a labor of love. And you've got to own the building, I would think.
Yeah, probably. Okay. One thing I wanted to mention, kind of a little bit of self-promotion. People know I'm involved in the Conshohocken Brewing Company. We put out this charity beer back in the fall, Merrill and Mike Philly Special, Double Hazy IPA, a lusty 8.8%. Hey, here's a present for you. Take that home with you. We decided to bring out a little bit of variation on the theme, Mike and Merrill, as opposed to Merrill and Mike. And this one is just hitting the stores toward the end of January. This one comes in at 6.5%. So we decided, we'll do it just a little bit differently. All right, coming up, Lou, I get a chance to catch up with my friend Joe Sixpack, see what life is like in France for that trader. Next, we're at the Sterling Pig Brewery. Where's my porter? Love this beer. In media, Lou Bryson, Glen Macnow. This is What's Brewing. Hey, it's Glen Macnow here with Andrew Colligan, genius and chief bottle washer at the Conshohocken Brewing Company, here to show us what's hot for 2023.
Our lead dog, Type A IPA, citrus and grapefruit, 7% West Coast IPA.
Love this one. It's coming home with me. What's next?
Life Coach, our hazy IPA, our fastest growing brand, juicy and citrusy, perfect for any hazy IPA.
And very crushable. Keep going.
Ring the Bell, our American lager, crisp, clean, easy drinking, tastes especially good down the gate.
No better way to celebrate a win. And
Backpack beer, our Belgian-style wheat, light, refreshing, and approachable. Throw a couple backpacks in your backpack.
I'm gonna go take a hike. Finally,
Bubba's Row, our classic ESB, proud to make maybe one of the best English ales in the country. Philly loves an underdog, support your local brewery and watering hole.
it's a beautiful sentiment. All these available at Conshohocken Brewing locations or wherever great beer is sold. Hey, welcome back to What's Brewing. It doesn't look like it, but we're doing the show with Sterling Pig, and we're going overseas. Delighted to welcome in our pal, my partner, Joe Sixpack from France. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Glenn. Great to see you.
Well, as we start this season in this show, I have to do a correction. Made a mistake last year when we did the Guzzlies. You remember, that was so much fun. The voting was open for the award for the most diverse beer list when we did it, and the answer flipped as we're recording, so congratulations to the winner, 8N Sand. We're going to get this out to you, and we really appreciate it. We had a good time with that. All right,
We did.
Let's talk about the beer scene over there. What styles do they have in northern France? What do they not have? What are you drinking?
Well, I've been over here now for about 3 or 4 months, and I've had a lot of opportunities to try great beer here. And there's I think, about 50 microbreweries within an hour of my town here, which is Rennes in Brittany.
Yeah. Wow.
And, it's a good variety. I brought some of them with me today to drink while we're talking here, Glenn. I had to say they're very uneven. Some of them are really particularly bad. I took a couple snapshots of beers that we'll show you of a French IPA that was way over foamed, and a French stout that I had no idea what was in there. It looked like a Yoo-hoo. But on the other hand, there are a lot of great beers here. This one is from Aerofab, which is a very, it's like one of the trendy breweries here. It's in Nantes. Not too far from me. So you do see some really good beers here made by the locals.
All right. Well, as you do that, I'm going to open up my Schote Pilsner from, there we go, from Sterling Pig. What about American beers?
I envy you, Glenn, because I don't see a whole lot of Pilsners here.
Well, that's my question. What about American beers? What can you get? What can't you get? What do you miss?
The only two American beers I see regularly are Lagunitas IPA and Brooklyn Brewing, but they're not really Americans. They're brewed by Heineken and Carlsberg, so I don't really think they count. Unfortunately, I do see some Bud as well, but I don't think that's brewed in America either. The thing that I see the most, and the one that's the most dependable, are the Belgian beers. You see a lot of Belgian beers here. The Trappist breweries, La Chouffe, Triple Carmelite, Rodenbach. Those are some pretty big names in Belgian beer. And the good thing about it is that it tends to be really cheap. Like a 12-ounce bottle of Chimay that you might spend $6 on in Philly, it costs me $1.65. So you can't beat that.
Well, it reminds me back in college when I drank bad beer and I drank it cheap. That was the good part of it. So
yeah.
You're in Rennes, as we said, about an hour or two north of Paris. When people come to visit you, which I will be doing in May, by the way.
Great to hear.
Like, what do they do locally that's good and not good? Like, can they do? Can they do a stout? Do they do an IPA? What do they do well and not well?
They're totally into all those hazy IPAs, the double dry hopped IPAs. This beer here is, as you can see, I hope I can turn it for you. It says Triumph Pacifica hops, NEIPA DDH, double dry hop. So they've really picked up on that whole hoppy thing that's going on in America. Also, you'll see some sour beers, some gimmicky kind of stouts with fruit in them. So they tend to get the idea of what's going on. The problem is, as I said, they tend to also be very unbalanced and not particularly well finished.
All right. We have a new feature this year, Ask Joe Sixpack, and here we go. This is from Norton in Ithaca. I love that we have viewers up in upstate New York. Does drinking beer in cold weather actually make you warmer? And as we discuss this, I'm going to ask our people to put up the pictures of you and I doing a show a couple of years ago outdoors, because during the pandemic we couldn't do it inside. Outdoors, and it was like 10 degrees outside, and we were drinking beer. I don't remember it making me warmer, but Norton wants to know.
I kind of remember frostbite, Glenn. But, here's the thing about drinking beer in cold weather. Every year you see the warning come out from the CDC or whoever telling you in cold weather, do not drink alcoholic beverages because they cause your body to lose heat more rapidly and make you feel colder. But I got to tell you, every summer I see the same agency, the CDC, warn you, avoid alcohol in extreme heat because it can cause dehydration and make you feel hotter. So, which one is it? Pick a side, really.
I guess the answer is drink inside in 72 degrees. I'm not sure. Listen, I've done enough Eagles pregame tailgates, and I think we all have when it's cold. What I find is you drink beer or any alcohol, you do get that quick boost, you do get that quick jolt of heat. but it doesn't always last.
It doesn't last. The whole idea, I think, is that you just won't notice it, Glenn.
Yeah. Well, if you drink enough, really, it doesn't matter because it blunts the senses. And we always on this show recommend drinking responsibly. That's what we're about. Well, Joe Sixpack, it's been a pleasure today. What are you drinking for the rest of the day? One of those garbage swill things that you held up?
No, you know what? I'm going to switch, I think, to something lighter. This beer is from Corsica, which is part of France. It's a golden ale made with clementine oranges, so I think that'll be a good one.
That sounds delicious. Joe Sixpack, I will see you next week. And coming back, we're going to have Lou Bryson back. We're going to interview Brian O'Connell, head brewer here at Sterling Pig, on What's Brewing. Welcome back to What's Brewing. We're at the Sterling Pig Brewery and Media. What a great place. I love this place. Lou Bryson is our guest host today. Follow him on Twitter at Lou, Lewbryson. I'm Glen Macnow. We are joined by Brian McConnell, head brewer and partner here at Sterling Pig. First of all, let's talk about what we're drinking. I know you are particularly proud of the Schott Pilsner, which we're drinking and you're just looking at.
So I'd say more fond than proud, frankly, but yeah, I guess I am proud of it. But it is definitely what I'd gravitate toward.
Okay. I love this place. I've been to this place. I want to talk about it, but I want to talk about a little bit about your history first, because what I learned in talking to you before the show is you didn't go to school for this. You went to school for government and philosophy. You were going to work on a fishing boat in Alaska, and yet here you are.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people who do their own brewing at home who are fascinated by it. How did this come about?
Seriously, this is more like an 80s craft brewing story.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I did do my own brewing at home, but there were other things that I was considering when I got into the brewing industry, and it was a default. It was it was in the 80s. I mean, I was in college in the late 80s and early 90s, and got out of school and there wasn't a ton of opportunity.
They weren't looking for philosophy majors everywhere?
No, they weren't. Which shocked me, frankly. But no, they weren't. Yeah.
You looked in the one hands under philosopher, and there was nothing.
No, quite the contrary, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had an opportunity to get a job at entry level in a brew pub in D.C. and took it, never expecting it to turn into a career, and yeah, here we are.
How do you go from just getting a job in a brew pub to running the place?
20 years.
Okay, but you didn't really do the school route with brewing. You learned on the job from some of the best.
Yeah, I did. Starting with a guy named Tim Morse, who came from Anchor to start a company called John Harvard's.
Oh gosh, John Harvard's were good.
Yeah.
I like the John Harvard.
And it was funny too. None of us knew what we were doing. Like Tim did, but he was at the corporate office. But we were all just learning by by trial and error. But I think we were putting on some pretty good beer there. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I want. Let's talk about your lineup a little bit, because the Schott is great. The hazy IPAs. What are the beers that people come in here? Either they're going to get a flight or 3 or 4 rounds. What are the ones they absolutely should try?
Well, it kind of depends on what they like. What I really try to do in terms of our lineup is offer something for everybody. So we have malty stuff, we have hoppy stuff, we have fruity stuff, not necessarily with fruit in it, but with Belgian contribution from Belgian yeast. Just try to give people a spectrum. I guess the way I always like to put it is that I don't really want everybody to like all of our beers. I want everybody to love one of our beers.
I love that.
That's nice.
That's a great way to put it.
Glad I thought of that.
That's like philosophy thing kicking in.
Yeah, you know what? You just came up. I would put that on the wall.
Yeah.
That's a great motto.
It's not the first time I've said it, but I'd forgotten about it for a while.
Yeah, that's
but
great.
I haven't been asked. But yeah, it's we want polarizing beer, but we want beer that somebody I already said it.
Okay.
Somebody can find something.
Now,
they
you've got
really
a
like.
setup here, and Lou, you understand it better than I do, how the beer gets from the back where they make it to the front where we drink it.
You're doing a really kind of almost old school thing where you're serving directly from the tank.
Yeah, we're set up as a pub more than a production facility. And the way I envisioned it when we started was basically we would serve most of our stuff on premises to begin with, and then trickle out into the market and distribution. And that way we don't have to rely on distribution as as keeping us afloat.
Right. Because that really puts it more in other people's hands.
Yeah, and infrastructurally what that meant was we have serving tanks. So basically they're independent bright tanks in a walk-in cooler that go right to the bar. So for all intents and purposes, they're just really big kegs.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that how John Harvard's did it?
Yeah, we didn't distribute.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we're set up as a pub.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by we, I mean John Harvard's at the time.
Right. So when it's coming right from the back, right to, I mean, it seems like I cannot get it fresher than that. It's almost like I'm taking a ladle to the tank and enjoying it straight out of there.
Yeah.
Which, if I'm allowed to do that, I would love to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe later.
The world's your oyster.
There you go. Give me a little bit about the history of Sterling Pig.
So Sterling Pig basically evolved. There's my partner is a local restaurateur, and I met him back in the early 2000 teens, if that's a term. And we just talked about opening a brewery in media, and this came to fruition through those conversations.
People ask me, where's the name come from?
That's my
Always.
partner. Yeah. So basically, he likes pigs, and he likes I don't know how the Sterling part came in, but it's kind of one of those oxymoronic things. You don't think of pigs as being like valuable and sterling, but pigs, in terms of in an Epicurean sense, are incredible.
Yeah.
And they're cute and they're smart. So they have a lot of.
Not sure about the cute part, but I'll go with you.
Yeah, I want to know how did you settle on doing barbecue?
So
I don't have a problem with it. I'm just
so that's mostly me. I'm from south of the Mason-Dixon.
okay.
And barbecue was kind of a big deal for me growing up. And I thought at the time it was certainly an underappreciated cuisine, and there wasn't a lot of it. So I don't know. It seemed kind of natural, and particularly, I think the name predated the decision to go barbecue, but it seemed to kind of flow.
Yeah.
So yeah, it seemed.
Well, I will tell you this. Having been to many, many, many breweries, brew pubs, etc., you guys have exemplary food, and it's something as well as your drink. And here's the good news. Lou and I are going to stick around for an entire week, which will give us the opportunity to try some of that. And
Fantastic.
Brian, I got to tell you, we've had a great time here today. We thank you for hosting us. As I said, we'll be back next week. Lou's going to stay with us. I'm Glen Macnow. Thanks for watching What's Brewing.
What's Brewing is brought to you in part by Monco Maker's Passport. Download your free digital pass and sip your way through Montgomery County. By the Conshohocken Brewing Company, featuring 4 locations and available at beer retailers throughout the tri-state area. By Visit Bucks County. Travel the Bucks County Ale Trail. Get your passport at visitbuckscounty.com. And by support from the Pennsylvania Malt and Brewed Beverage Industry Promotion Board and grant funding from the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board.